Bienvenue à Fikili. So for today, we're going to be talking about adaptations, or in specific, one particular adaptation. Now, adaptation is whenever you take something, usually a book, and turn it into another medium or another book. One of the best known examples currently would be the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Started off as a very excellent series by J.R.R. Tolkien. Mine is currently not on this bookshelf. It's awaiting transport in Oxford, I think. Either way, you have the Lord of the Rings trilogy by J.R.R. Tolkien, which was then turned into a very good movie trilogy by Peter Jackson. It starred Elijah Wood as Frodo, Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn, yada yada yada. That was an adaptation that worked well. There are also adaptations that don't. We don't need to talk about what happened to the poor Golden Compass by Philip Pullman when it went into movie adaptation. However, there are some franchises that we just can't seem to put down. We have to play with them. It's part of the rules. Most of the time, we only get one shot at an adaptation. If it works like Lord of the Rings, great! We get to keep it and we have a lovely adaptation. If it doesn't, like the Golden Compass, then we so totally leave it alone and never touch it again, ever. However, there are some franchises that we just can't leave alone. For example, we could look at The Wizard of Oz. Let's see, that one got the original book by L. Frank Baum, the musical, the movie of the musical. I think those might actually need to be inverted. Not sure. Then after the musical and the movie, we got Wicked, which was technically an adaptation of the book, but we so totally know he stole copiously from the movie. After you have the adaptation of the book in the form of Wicked, we have the musical adaptation of Wicked. And now they're talking about a movie, which makes sense, but it hasn't happened yet, but they're talking about it, so it probably will be a thing. There are also franchises like Dracula, which we just can't put down to save our lives. And a lot of these that we just can't put down to save our lives are from the turn of the century. Now, there is one other set of fictional characters from that time period that we just can't put down, man. We just can't put it down. We have to keep coming back to them. And they've been experiencing even more of a renaissance than usual in recent years. I speak, of course, of Sherlock Holmes and his companion, Dr. Watson. Originally introduced in the Sherlock Holmes series by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle around the turn of the 20th century. No, I do not know the precise year, so I'm not gonna try. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, particularly Sherlock, are now our stereotypical go-to gumshoe sleuth detective types. So Sherlock will look at your problem and figure it out within a week, because he's just that awesome, with the trade-off that he also has no social skills. Hence why he needs Dr. Watson to figure those things out for him. We haven't been able to put this pair down since we got them. There are plenty of book adaptations, some more book adaptations, lots of book adaptations, several stage adaptations, which is how I got back into the franchise. I believe the play was called Sherlock Holmes, The Final Destination, or The Final Case, or something. I forget the exact title. We just called it the Sherlock Holmes play. It was really awesome. We've also had a bunch of movies, and those could stem from anywhere from the late 2000s adaptations with Robert Downey Jr., which are pretty good, to Disney's The Great Mouse Detective, which is vastly underrated. It's actually a really good Disney movie, seriously underrated. You should go watch it. More recently, of course, we've had television series, which really makes sense given our fondness for crime television. Both the BBC with its Sherlock series and CBS, I think, with its Elementary series are playing the Sherlock Holmes card right now. I haven't ever watched Elementary, but I'm reliably informed by Light Within the Darkness that it's pretty good. I have watched BBC's Sherlock, although I'm not obsessive about it, and it's really good. I find the line, "I'm not a psychopath, I'm a high-functioning sociopath, get it right," or something to that effect, to be one of the best lines to describe Sherlock Holmes ever. That being said, given that we've got book adaptations up to wazoo, film adaptations, TV adaptations, all the adaptations, it only makes sense that someone would eventually try to adapt it for the YA audience. Cue A Study in Charlotte. Now, A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro came out... Cavallaro? I think it's Cavallaro. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. Either way, A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro has the interesting distinction of technically not being about Sherlock Holmes and John Watson. Now, A Study in Charlotte operates under the interesting idea that Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson were real people. So, Dr. Watson was the one who recorded all the case files for Sherlock Holmes and eventually got them published through his literary agent, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It's a good way to maintain that connection, I think. Regardless, given that Sherlock Holmes and John Watson were real people, inevitably they had descendants. Sherlock Holmes had one son, who then proceeded to have children of his own and children of their own, etc., etc. We're not told how many children Dr. Watson had, but I would assume more because he wasn't quite as sociopathic. Either way, what you have is a modern version of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, however not with Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson. Instead, we have their teenage descendants, Charlotte Holmes and James, better known as Jamie, Watson. These two meet at a boarding school in Connecticut for various and sundry reasons, and their original thought process is, okay, Charlotte is a thing, Jamie is a thing, we know each other is there. Jamie makes some friendly overtures with Charlotte in the stereotypically Holmesian sociopathic way, slaps down, but they're at the point where they could work with each other, but nothing special. And then a dead body turns up and someone's framing them. So it's work together or get arrested. They choose to work together. And through a series of, we had one murder, one attempted murder. I'm pretty sure somebody else died in there somewhere. Yeah, I get the gist. And better still, these murders are based off of old Sherlock Holmes cases from Jamie's great-great-grandfather's stories. So the first murder is based off the Speckled Band, the second one is the Blue Carbuncle. And then there was a third one that they were beginning to touch on, but I didn't quite catch which one it was. So these two, who previously didn't really know each other very well, have to work together to clear their names so that Charlotte can get sort of the grounding she needs, and Jamie, well, he needs to know what the hell is going on. All in all, I really liked this book. It's a good solid start to the trilogy that Brittany Cavallaro is planning on writing. If you like Sherlock Holmes and you like YA, if you don't like YA, don't touch it. But if you do like YA, this was a good Sherlock Holmes adaptation. Now let's get on to the spoilery section of the review. So if you haven't read A Study in Charlotte, you should probably get out now. I will wait. You have 5 seconds. Onto the spoilery section, which is unfortunately going to include a lot of why I didn't like the book as much. So, in the end, Charlotte and Jamie get together. I'm not sure I'm okay with this or not. I mean, we just had the August bombshell dropped on us. Do we really need this kind of emotional turmoil? And for that matter, do we really have to have our male and female protagonists get together? Couldn't we have a little more build-up and really get them started on that track in book 2? I mean, she's got an entire trilogy to play with. She doesn't have to do it right now. But she did. And while it's cute and I'm okay with that, at the same time I'm just over here going, Charlotte's not in an emotional position to be in a relationship with anybody, let alone an important one. Why? I guess it's because it's a YA trope and it's a thing that has to happen. That being said, they are really cute together, so I live with it. I just would have liked to see a bit more maybe friendship oriented without the threat of everyone dying hanging over their heads, but that's just a preference. It was still really fun. I could see them working together as a couple. It was cute. The second thing is I really liked how they addressed Charlotte's drug habits. The fact that Sherlock Holmes was an opium addict was a thing that's sort of been dangling over the franchise since pretty much forever, because nowadays you can't have that being a thing, even though back in the day it happened. It happened. It wasn't necessarily pleasant, but it was a thing, and it did happen a lot in Victorian England, Edwardian England. Gosh darn it, I really need to look at my time frame. Okay, either way. So the fact that Charlotte takes Oxy, and it's implied that she's basically self-medicating herself down to normal, is a really interesting way to play it. I personally really enjoyed it. I liked that Charlotte struggles with this, that she knows it's bad and she shouldn't do it, but she can't stop because she needs something to make the world slow down, as she puts it. My thought is maybe that we're going to see some more of that, maybe see Jamie helping her, because really it sounds like she needs an anchor to the world, and maybe Jamie will serve that function. Hopefully regardless of their relationship status, because I think a good friend could serve that function. Either way, I really like the way they handle it. The Charlotte getting raped prior to the story is also a good thing, I think. One, it provides a really good solid reason as to why she would be happy to kill Dodson. Two, it also provides a good reason for Charlotte to seriously rethink her drug issues. I mean, sure, we had the August debacle, but that wouldn't be solid enough, in my opinion, to convince her that this is probably a bad plan. But basically getting raped because she could not consent because she was too high and she couldn't process anything, that would do it. Because I don't know about you, but I would be scared to death of that happening again. So I think it's a good thing. It's not pleasant to think about, but it's a very real consequence of that type of recreational drug use. So it was interesting to see that brought up. The relationship between Jamie and his father was interesting. I mean, we don't usually see son siding completely with his mother when his mother is cool as his dad. It's a little unusual. I liked how it worked though, because it explained why Jamie was on his own, why he didn't trust his dad, but why he wasn't going to go trying to kill anyone either. He just thinks his dad's a total prick. He doesn't blame his stepbrothers, half-brother. He doesn't blame his half-brothers. He blames his dad and to a certain extent his stepmother. Although we don't even really see that very much. It's mostly his dad. He blames his dad for cheating on his mom, which is a good reaction that we don't see very often in literature, unless it's to the extent that he wants absolutely no contact with his father and his mother's furious with his dad too. It was just a relationship you don't tend to see as often. I don't like you because of this, but you're still my dad and I still love you. I just don't ever want to be around you again. Ever. And stop trying to shove your happy family on me. I'm not part of that. It was a really interesting dichotomy. The way they got together in terms of Charlotte's uncle and Jamie's dad colluding to get them together, that to me was a good reveal, and it was a good reaction to the reveal. They're not going, I don't want to hang out with you again because you were also manipulated into this horrible situation where we became best friends. No, they went, you people suck. Stay the hell away from us. Don't pull this again. Seriously, I'm grateful to have Charlotte, but at the same time, don't pull this again. And I thought that was a really good mix. So there's a lot of really good things about studying Charlotte. Most of them, I'd say. But there are times when it gets a little cliche heavy. Mostly on the YA side. So that's all for today. Leave a comment down below if you've read A Study in Charlotte or if you just liked the review. Also leave a comment with your favorite Sherlock Holmes adaptation, because after listening to Light Within the Darkness talk about how much she likes Elementary, I've decided that I clearly need to up my Sherlock game. Also, speaking of Light Within the Darkness, we did a collab video recently, starting a new series called Tea and Books, where we talk about, well, a little bit about tea and a lot about books. However, it's going to be up on Light Within the Darkness's channel, and she says there's been some editing issues, so it might take a little while to get up there. I'll post a link whenever I have one. In the meantime, this is me signing off.